While Home and Away drops to 5th place in my soap opera rankings for June 2022 after it was at 2nd place in May. The biggest reason for this is that it's getting some similarities to Hollyoaks that I've been complaining about for months, and the fact that there's just a lot of new characters that we're supposed to get invested in, and it's just not always easy to do. In fact, I think it's very hard to invest in a lot of new characters at once on a soap opera, especially. Now, unlike Hollyoaks, who is just adding a bunch of new characters because Lucy Allen doesn't know what she's doing, Home and Away kind of didn't have a choice. There was a vaccine mandate, and so they lost a lot of characters because of that. Bella moved to New York, leaving Nikau behind. Logan left, leaving Mackenzie. Even Jasmine ended up leaving Cash behind. So we lost at least 3 characters there because Home and Away taped so far ahead. This happened like at the end of 2021 with the vaccine mandate, and now it's airing 6 months later. It's very similar to Days. But we'll still talk about some of the storylines. We had, PK was murdered, and we've been having that investigation into his death. Dean a suspect, Mackenzie a suspect. That story, the whole gambling story, was one of the reasons that I put Home and Away so high in May, because I like when Home and Away has these really overdramatic storylines that have a big feel, that the stakes are high, even though on Home and Away their characters normally don't get killed off very often. At least their main characters don't. And PK was far from a main character. He was just a villain. So the aftermath of this death isn't all that interesting to me, but I mean, it's okay. It's doing what it needs to do. I do find it interesting that Dean and Mackenzie have gotten so close from this storyline. Another storyline that ended at the beginning of June was the whole Xander thing, when he was trying to help Millie, but Millie was blackmailing him because she didn't want to turn herself in because she was responsible for texting and driving and killing her friend. But Rose helped in that situation. But then we have Xander once again continuing to be kind of too into helping some of his patients. Once again, Xander is only a paramedic, and he likes to kind of be involved with what the doctors say. So he was kind of pissing off a doctor there for a while. That storyline, it moved fast. The Home and Away stories are kind of moving fast right now. But then the whole murder investigation into PK is moving slow. With Jasmine leaving, Cash had this drunken incident where Cash was drunk and he got close to Rose, who was Jasmine's sister and works as a cop with him. And with Jasmine leaving, Rose has been feeling some type of way about Cash getting close to her. She doesn't want to be with her sister's, I guess, now ex-boyfriend. So Rose has been trying to avoid Cash. But there's also this new character, Tex, I think is his name. I don't even know his name, these new characters on these soaps. She's been getting close to Tex. I don't really know what to think about the Tex character. There's not a whole lot there from him so far. I do kind of like Rose and Cash being explored as a relationship, but I like the whole push-pull going on with them right now. I don't even know if that's the direction they're going to keep going with those two as a couple, but I do like that. I also, of course, like Chloe and Theo. I've liked this possible relationship for a long time. Their latest story was Justin suspecting Theo cheating on this test, and he was wrongful in getting Theo investigated for the test. It's another kind of quick little storyline going on at Home and Away, which is just why Home and Away faltered in my rankings for the month. Nothing truly big happened on Home and Away in June that was like blow me away type thing to keep it high. And then we had another new character, Nikau, saving a woman from drowning, who was kind of into Nikao after that. Bella just left him behind, so we're going to probably move him onto a new relationship as well. And yeah, that's really all to talk about for Home and Away this month. The argument could probably be made that I could have dropped it a little lower, but I still enjoyed watching it on a more consistent basis than its Neighbors show. Neighbors, which is ending, and I don't think it's been all that interesting in its second to last month before it gets canceled. But Home and Away, it is what it is. I hope it gets more exciting in July, because I feel like June really dropped off. But once again, to reiterate, they had the whole vaccine mandate. They lost these 3 characters, so I think they kind of had to make a lot of abrupt, maybe changes to their stories, and that's why we're getting kind of a lot of new characters out of nowhere, and a lot of storylines seem to be taking different directions because they just lost all these characters to the vaccine mandate. So I don't know if it's not totally the show's fault that the show kind of faltered into May, because I felt like they were gaining momentum in May, but then they had to do all these changes because of the vaccine mandate, and now all the stories are kind of lackluster. I think that's a good word for Home and Away in June. It wasn't bad, but it was definitely lackluster. Not as boring as some of these soaps at the bottom of my rankings, and not as poorly written as some of them either. Hollyoaks pushed these new characters down my throat for months now, and I didn't like most of them. And that's why Hollyoaks is so low in my rankings. Home and Away, we're getting some new characters here. Even Xander and Rose are still new characters, but I liked them from the beginning. They did good with them. But this Tex guy and Nikao and all of these women in his life that are coming up, not feeling it yet. But I also don't feel like it's being shoved down my throat like Hollyoaks. Then I think there is a difference with that. But anyway, Home and Away falls to 5th place in my rankings for June 2022.